meeting to order. If you'll join me in a Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Neighbors? Here. Young?
Here.
Dilling?
Here.
Beamsterboer?
Here.
Adamski?
Here.
Doyle?
Here.
Adrianson?
Here. Okay, first item on the agenda is the swearing of a full-time police officer. The village board and myself have been committed to increase public safety by increasing staffing within our police department. Tonight, we stand by that commitment in making Manhattan safer and fully staffed tonight. With the recommendation and approval of Manhattan Police Commission, we will swear in full-time police officer Kanoa Hughes. Kanoa comes to Manhattan with over 15 years of law enforcement experience, most recently with Tinley Park Police Department. Kanoa is an all-around talented police officer with good knowledge in community policing, trucking industry, and commercial district security. We would like to welcome Kanoa and his family to the Village of Manhattan family. Shelley, if you'd like to step up and we can swear him in.
Congratulations, welcome.
Thank you.
Congratulations, welcome.
Congrats. Thank you.
Welcome aboard. Congratulations, sir.
Welcome aboard. Thank you.
Yeah, January 17th, 24.
Ah, yeah. Good kids. Nobody would notice.
Okay, next item on the agenda is a lighted up residential winner, the Bahina family at 14509 Audubon Trail. So the Village of Manhattan is excited to announce the winners of our Light Up Manhattan Decorating Contest. We had a total of 4 business entries and 6 residential entries, and we're thrilled to celebrate the outstanding displays. The winner of the residential category was determined through a Facebook poll with a total of 247 votes. So congratulations to the Bahina family for being named the winner. The business category winner was decided through a Facebook poll with a total of 213 votes. Congratulations to Posh West Boutique for being named the winner. The Manhattan Chamber of Commerce will present Posh West Boutique with their award at their upcoming annual business dinner. So on behalf of the Village Board, I would like to congratulate our winners and extend our thanks to everyone who participated in a festive celebration. We're already looking forward to next year's contest. To keep the holiday cheer alive, we'll be keeping the map of light displays available on our website so everyone can continue to enjoy the displays throughout the season. So I have an award for the Bahina family if they want to come up. All right, so there's no public comment. Next item is the consent agenda. Consists of December 3rd, 2024 Village Board meeting minutes, approval of December 17th, 2024 bills list, and authorization to change the start time to the Village Board meeting on January 7th from 6 p.m. to 5 p.m.
Motion.
Roll call. Do
Neighbors?
Yes.
you have a question?
Oh,
You know what, unfortunately, I don't have, thank you. I don't have the line items in front of me, but I'll come back to this in just a little bit because we're going to be talking a little bit more about, not you, but Dave, what we talked about earlier. I'll bring that up.
What? About the consent agenda?
Yeah. Approve it
Do you want
right now.
something, do you want something pulled from it to discuss?
No,
You do?
I do, yes.
Thank you.
I'd like to have the line item pulled for the $500 video for Facebook
Okay. On the bills list?
on the bills list. The rest of the consent agenda, I'm fine with.
Okay. So then do we,
To make a motion, subject to that being pulled.
okay, so entertain a motion to approve, subject to that bill being pulled.
okay, so I have Justin as my motion and Tom as my second.
Yes.
Okay. Roll call is Neighbors.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Dilling.
Yes.
Beamsterboer.
Yes.
Adamski.
Yes.
Doyle.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. So next item under new business is a resolution approving the renewal of the wastewater treatment project plan with Strand and Associates. So this is the plan that was developed by Strand in 2020. The plan was approved by IEPA for 5 years. So this is a renewal will extend the plan for additional 5 years.
Yeah, I think you should.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, Mike, I have
That's all
a
right.
question for the attorney that,
So that's fine. So we pulled the 500 video of Facebook, so I think we want to address that at this point.
Okay.
you could have a separate
So
motion for it.
this would be a separate motion then, previous to new business. Motion to approve a $500 bill for a Facebook video. So I'd like to entertain a motion.
Can I get a little more background? What's the?
This is the video that Jangles came into town, you know, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, I got that, okay. So we need a motion?
Yeah, motion in a second. Okay.
Motion. I had no problem with it. Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Neighbors.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Dilling.
No.
Beamsterboer.
No.
Adamski.
Yes.
Doyle.
No. Yes.
Oh, Mayor, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. So next under new business, a resolution approving a renewal of wastewater treatment project plan with Strand and Associates. So this is the plan developed by Strand 2020. So the plan was only approved by the IEPA for 5 years. So this renewal will extend the plan approval for additional 5 years. So I'd like to entertain a motion to approve a resolution approving the renewal of wastewater treatment project plan with Strand and Associates in the amount not to exceed $13,500. This is for the wastewater plant. Any questions?
Motion.
Second?
Roll call?
Young,
Yes.
Dilling,
Yes.
Beamster,
Yes.
Adamski,
Yes.
Doyle,
Yes.
Neighbors.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Next item,
That's why.
you have some?
No,
Oh,
I'm sorry. I'm talking to
that's
myself.
okay.
Bad habit
That's
to
okay.
answer myself, too.
I don't want to skip anyone. So, next item on the agenda is a resolution approving the installation of vinyl tile flooring in the meeting room of the Village Hall. So the room that we're in right now. So this is to replace the carpet in the Village Boardroom. The carpet is over 20 years old. Looks like it's getting time to replace it. The vinyl flooring will look a lot better and allow for easier cleaning and maintenance. The Village received 3 quotes, and New Vision Flooring was the lowest bid, including with prevailing wage at around $16,361. So we rent this room out to a lot of different groups, and sometimes there's spills and Kool-Aid and whatever pop gets spilled on there, and it's hard to clean up, so this will make it a lot nicer. So I'd like to entertain a motion to approve a resolution approving the installation of vinyl flooring in the meeting room of the Village Hall from New Vision Flooring and Remodeling in the amount of $16,361.
Motion.
Second?
No, vinyl tile.
Pardon me.
Didn't we put that in there, Dave, when we bought the building?
It's old. No, this was a
I just wanted, I can't remember.
So, this was a meeting room prior to when we took possession of the building, and most of this carpet was in, except for a little bit in this area. And we had squares to replace some of the sections of it, and it's pretty old and beat
I
up.
couldn't remember. Yeah, well, that's 12 years ago.
Right.
So you got a motion and a second, or
You're my
Okay.
second, right?
roll
Okay.
call?
Dilling,
Yes.
Beamster,
Yes.
Adamski.
Yes.
Doyle,
Yes.
Neighbors.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is a resolution authorizing the purchase of an unmanned aerial vehicle, DJI Matrix 30T police drone. So using drones for police work is becoming standard operating procedure. The drone can be used to monitor large crowds, take overhead photos of accidents and crime scenes. It can be used to search in large areas. The drone is a speaker, spotlight, red and blue warning lights, and is designed to operate in severe conditions. So this purchase includes training and technical support. So I don't know if anyone has any questions. I know the chief was looking into this, so he has a little more information if anyone needed it.
Chief Gully, could you just explain, like, the protocol, how you're going to use the drone, like, how it gets registered, when they can use it, and everything gets logged, and, like, the procedure?
Yes. So, the police in general are regulated by the Drones First Responder Act, which was passed by the state and FAA. So we can only use drones for certain things, such as to encounter high-risk terrorist attack, pursuant to a search warrant based on probable cause signed by a judge, reasonable suspicion that a swift action is needed to prevent imminent harm, life, escape of a suspect, to prevent destruction of evidence, to locate a missing person, engage in search and rescue operations, to obtain crime scene and traffic photography, or to gather information to determine whether disaster or public health emergency should be declared, and inspection of infrastructure. So it's every time the drone goes up, it has to be not only documented, but it has to be recorded on via our mobile radios. And then we have to give a location when it's coming down for battery change, when it's going back up, where exactly it's at. And it's actually a violation punishable by jail time to violate people's privacy and stuff like that as a drone operator. Because when you fly it, it all has to be mapped and reported every April 1st to the state as to where and why we use the drone. Something like the Irish Fest that we used Mokinas for last year in Orleans, and I believe a few other people. You have to report that because you're using it private. You're using it prior to the event. So it's very, very, very regulated. And the advantage of it is obviously everything we stated, but it can get to where Apollo can't. You know what I mean? So a little quicker. So we have used it for search and rescue before, recovery, and we have used it for people fleeing from a vehicle. So I'm sorry.
Chief,
Yes, sir.
how many people will be eligible to operate this?
We would have 3 officers certified through the FAA as drone pilots.
All right, where is it going to be kept at?
It'll be kept in the station, and then as they patrol the 3 certified pilots, it'll be in their, it'll be kept in their vehicle while they're on duty, and then
Oh,
in the
okay.
station when they're not.
That's what I wanted to know, thank you.
Anyone else? Any questions?
Hey, Chief, just at some point, if we do go through with getting this, I mean, just some sort of statement, letting people know we have this, and it's not going to be Big Brother out there. I think that's the first thing that's going to come to people's minds. Like, I don't want you in my backyard if you don't have a reason to be in my backyard. So just be cognizant of that and try to get out ahead of it and let people know why we have this and how it's going to be used and what we cannot do by
Yes,
law.
absolutely, and we will pass our policy right away. And the list that I speak of when and why as we fly the drone is all FOIA-able. I don't even know FOIA, we'll give it to you guys, whoever wants it, you know what I mean? Because it needs to be very transparent. You know, this isn't something where someone can come to us and be like, hey, there's a stagnant pool back here. We're trying to investigate it, but we know you got a drone, so we want to use it. That's illegal. We can't do it. It has to be used for law enforcement purposes. A lot of agencies are going to using them, you know, in large events, such as our Irish Fest and stuff like that, to secure not only the perimeter, but the top of buildings where we can't be. I understand, you know, with the news in New Jersey and stuff like that, everyone is probably questioning this right now, you know what I mean? And I have 2 opinions on that. My first is, you know, how can we identify it if we can't try to get up there ourselves, right? And secondly, you know, we're not in the business of violating privacy or rights. You know, we try to be transparent and have integrity with everything we do, and we will, as a department, and myself, because it starts with me, we will make sure we push that and advise the residents and everybody who we have contact with us exactly as to why we do this.
So you use it with mutual aid, correct?
We could use it
can?
with mutual, yes, sir.
So, but can it be used by the township assessor?
No.
Because he does Google's map to assess houses and different things in backyards and stuff, and I know some residents are concerned you're gonna loan them the drone and fly over, and,
No,
I mean,
that's,
it's a concern.
No, it's a good concern, but that is 100% illegal.
Okay.
You know, probably not only would the pilot get arrested for that, but I, as your chief, would probably get arrested for that, because I allowed it to happen. You know what I mean? And we're not in the business of lending our drone out to the township assessor. We're police only, and it does have to be recorded with dispatch, which retains record for so long as to why exactly we're flying it. You know what I mean? We can't, you know, if someone's worried that they might be doing something illegal in their backyard, we can't, without a warrant, go in the air and go above their backyard. We can't do it. It has to be signed by a judge, have probable cause, reasonable suspicion, all that stuff to be able to fly it over their backyard. You know what I
Okay.
mean? It's not a toy. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's kind of the message we want to send.
But you know, everybody throws every scenario at you, so I just wanted to
Absolutely.
make that clear to the public, this is not gonna be used for that purpose.
No, and it will, you know, there's a few different options and a couple other jurisdictions use, and we would be open to as well if the board would be, allow us to do it. We would even be willing to list it on our, you know, village website, the log of where we do it, as opposed to, you know, some departments list a FOIA log as to what was FOIA'd. We could put our flight log if that's needed, you know what I mean? Obviously, it wouldn't be posted prior to, because if you're using it for a search warrant or something like that, you don't want to give away your ideas, but we will be very I promise you, we will be very transparent with this. And then if the board does approve it, some of the money is allocated from our asset forfeiture fund, which is from arrests and seizure from people using or dealing drugs that we've arrested, and the court has deemed that money can be forfeited to the village for use on projects like this. It's only about $4,100, but it would be seizures from criminal activity that is going to fund this a little bit as well.
Okay,
Do we have to keep all the video of it stored, like the body cams?
Yes.
Okay.
Every April 1st, we have to provide a very detailed report to not only to LSB, but to the FAA and state that of what we did and why we did it and when we did it.
Just one thing too, I'm just, as I'm thinking about this, and I don't know how the board feels, but, you know, if we were ever going to use this for a village function or a village reason, maybe bring it to the board to talk about it before we agree to it. Like, you know, if we're not necessarily like a parade or something, but if we wanted to check out the new Eastern Avenue that opened up, just run it past the board, so make sure we're keeping it in the police department's use only.
Yes.
And then if it's gonna go outside the police department use, that we have some sort of board approval on that.
Yes, and if it's going up, sir, if it's going up for something other than like the police department use,
Yeah.
we have to retrieve permission first to go up for
Okay,
something like
okay.
that.
Just wanna make sure.
But absolutely, we would document it and be very transparent and open with any questions. You know, I encourage the questions because I think that's the best way to move forward. Because it is, I have concerns of my own privacy sometimes, right? And, you know, nobody wants a drone flying over their house and not knowing what it's doing, you know what I mean? Whether it be looking at your family, at your children, at whatever, you know what I mean? And I do understand the concerns, but I'm here to tell you that we're not gonna do that. We're not above the law, so we're not trying to break the law. And, you know, this is also, it's a FAA license as well, so not only would they be violating Illinois statute, but they'd be violating federal law as well, which is punishable by a lot more than state law.
We've had an instance here in town where somebody got an order of protection because of drones, am I correct?
Yes, you are.
All right, thank you. So I'd like to entertain a motion to approve a resolution authorizing the purchase of an unmanned aerial vehicle, police drone from Unmanned Vehicle Technologies LLC in the amount of $14,359.25.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, roll call?
Beamster Bohr,
Yes?
Adamski.
Yes.
Doyle,
Yes.
Neighbors,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Dilling.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is fire sprinkler requirements discussion. So I just place this on the agenda for the discussion. We received a request for a text amendment to our code by a local institution that is reconstructing and repurposing an existing building. The request is to amend our current code that requires all Group A structures to require fire sprinklers to anything less than 1,500 square feet. So Group A, they want to not require fire sprinklers for anything less than 1,500 square feet with Group A. So I received this, and I notified the attorney and let him look into it, see what options are for the board to take. So I don't know if you want to speak on this behalf.
Give a quick overview, subject to any questions. So thank you, Mayor. I did look into the code to see what the sprinkler requirements were. I also consulted with Director Mark Nelson regarding the code provisions. The village did adopt the International Fire Code. That code provides certain requirements for sprinkler systems. In addition to that, the village, under presumably its home rule authority, increased the requirements for sprinklers, and in doing so requires that sprinklers be put in all Group A, which is essentially assembly use classifications, other classifications as well. So in order to change that, if that's the village board's direction, you would be required to make what's referred to as a text amendment. You'd have to change the ordinance. So that's what's up for consideration. The only point I would add to that is whenever you're making these changes, it's always important to keep in mind that it has to have a rational basis, so you have to tie it to, if you're making a change, what the rational basis is, if you're setting a demarcation line. So subject to that, I'm happy to answer any questions that
And there's a few, I'm sorry.
no, that's it.
There's someone that wants to speak on behalf of St. Joe's, and then we also have the fire department and BNF here. So do you want to go first with the St. Joe's?
I'm here as a parishioner. Thank you. I'm here as a parishioner. My family is our parishioners at St. Joseph's Church. Father McMahon and Deacon Forsyth were unable to attend tonight, but they wanted me to go over any questions that you may have. And I think you all have the email from Father McMahon, and in it lays out in the beginning three points, and the 3 points are such that the village appears to be the town within its rights to allow the the permit without sprinklers. Now, the alternative methods, the storage tanks, might be a slight cost reduction, but it's not enough to make an impact on the dollar amount of the cost. And this cost is $126,000 of a little over $300,000 for the conversion of the building. And the Archdiocese has stated that if the village were to require the sprinklers, that they could not afford this program, this conversion, and it would die. So, you know, in the past, the village boards have shown deference to making certain changes in the old part of town for this reason, because of older buildings or smaller buildings. And it's the church's belief that this is one that does qualify. They will use fire-rated drywall. They have 2 entry and egress, one on each side in the building. And the school does not have any, obviously, sprinklers. And as far as I know, and maybe the fire department or Terry Doyle could correct me if I'm wrong, I doubt if any of the temporary classrooms at Anna McDonald or the old junior high have any sprinklers either. And I don't know what the new firehouse downtown, if it has sprinklers. So because of that, we would like the ordinance amended to show properties 1,500 feet or less in size could be exempt, or if that's not possible, an outright passage where they would get permission to do the conversion without sprinklers. So.
All right, thank you. I could, if we have any questions, but if we want to let maybe the fire department speak on this, and then we
Sure.
can come back and kind of just open it up for discussion
Sure.
once.
Good evening. My name is Bruce Boyle. I'm Battalion Chief of the Manhattan Fire Protection District, and I'm the Fire Marshal for the Fire District. Code and ordinances are a very difficult thing to work through as a village. The Village of Manhattan is a community that is growing rapidly, one of the fastest growing communities in the county. Your effort to develop codes and ordinances are a public safety issue, and I commend you for that. The challenges is that we all struggle because you as a governing body, as well as us, we have to look overall at public safety. We can't designate certain areas or certain projects that comply or don't comply. We have to deliver the codes and ordinances consistently across the board. The situation we're in today is that I was in a meeting with the deacon and with the priest and the architect, and they suggested that they are interested in changing their business model at the Catholic school. They want to add daycare to the facility. In order to do that, they want to divert some of the classroom use into a building that was existing. During the meeting, we spent an extensive amount of time helping them through the process. Their $120,000 cost, we found some ways that we could shave those costs. We thought that would be sufficient to help them through the process. I understand that the diocese is funding the project, and there are some constraints on their side. However, in today's world, and for your information, yes, all the fire stations are sprinklered. That is, in today's world, very important. As we have seen across this past week of all the unexpected things that happen in public buildings and educational structures, we must provide for the safety of those structures. I guess on our side, we absolutely support the village's effort to retain the ordinances as they are. Because if we stop right now and say, well, this residence or this type of structure is exempt, and we're talking a place of assembly, we're talking places that have more than 50 people in them, and we're talking, in this case, 50 children, we're opening ourselves up to, I guess, eroding away at the base that you have chosen for life safety for this growing community. So I guess I would plead with you that to maintain your stance with the codes and ordinances you have adopted, you have spent an extensive amount of time looking into why you do this for the future, and realize that we're a community that's moving forward. Today's world is much different than 10 years and 20 years ago. We all have to understand that we can't control in the immediacy. If there's a fire in a building, we can't control that. We have response time. There's many things that affect our response. So what a suppression system does is it maintains the fire in check until we can get there and put the fire out. So I would be open for any questions that you have, but again, the fire district is in full support of the codes and ordinances. For the future of this community, it's very important for you to set the standard for new growth, and we're talking of change in use from a shed to a classroom or to a place of assembly. The one thing to remember is that when you develop codes and ordinances, you're asking the community to comply. You're forcing them, and I understand that. But you're trying to build a culture to say, this community is a safe community, and we want to deliver those codes and ordinances consistently. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have them.
I have a question.
I got a question. Chief, is the code, the way they're reading it, is that for a new building or an existing building? This place about 900 square feet.
Tom, the building was designed as a shed, okay? Along with the variants that we're talking about, the sprinkler, there's also some foundation issues that go with that building project. Anytime that you take an existing structure that has a dedicated use and you change it to something different, you have to bring it up to the codes and ordinances of today.
Okay.
So yes, it is an existing building, but because we're changing it from a storage occupancy to a classroom or a place of assembly, it has to come up to current codes. If we did not do that, then every building that was ever made would never be upgraded to today's standards, and that wouldn't be acceptable for life safety in the community.
But isn't the code X amount of square feet?
The ordinances, the ordinances that the village has adopted is 0 square feet, yes.
I have a question. We, in the past, had an exemption for any other, but I'm just wondering if we've done this before. Davey, I don't know.
I can't speak to historically, but one thing I want to point out, and I glossed over it perhaps too quickly when I was giving the overview, there's nothing in our current code that allows a one-off exemption to St. Joseph, for example. You would have to do a text amendment that would change the code. Right now, I think it's been mentioned that for the classification, we'll use assembly, for example. All uses that fall within, and structures that fall within that designation, right now under the code, require that sprinkler systems be installed. That also, I've heard now mentioned too, the use of the classroom, to the extent that falls under a second part of the code, which would be educational purposes, I think it's an E classification, requires under our existing code, all structures to have sprinklers since the code's been adopted. Therefore, if there was going to be a change. What needs to be done from a legal standpoint is you have to make an amendment to the code that would change the existing requirements across the board, right? And what I believe is being requested based on Mr. Biskin's discussion is to change that requirement to 1,500 square feet. When I use the term, make sure we have a rational basis, I'm not saying 1,500 square feet isn't an appropriate demarcation line, but I do think that when the board, if it does consider a change along those lines, you have to think of it beyond the single request of just one person in that regard, because what happens when the next person comes and says, well, we have 2,000 feet, why'd you do it for 1,500, right? So there has to be a rational basis as to whatever the amount of square footage that's being chosen. But to get back to your original question, to make sure it's clear, any changes would not be a one-off, it's not like a special use permit. It is a change in the code that would be across the board, that would be equally applicable under a designation of either assembly, under educational, perhaps something else, that would apply to all businesses that fall, or uses, I should say, that fall within those classifications under whatever parameters the village seeks to impose. What I also want to make sure is clear is that there's a little bit of a conflation going on between the International Fire Code and our village code. So the International Fire Code, which was adopted, does set forth certain exemptions, which I believe the church is indicating that, hey, we normally fall within these exemptions under the fire code. However, when Manhattan adopted the fire code, it chose to increase some of the requirements imposed by that code, presumably for health and safety reasons. So that's what's adopted, that's what's in place. So you can look at what the International Fire Code says, but you have to be cognizant of what our current code says when making an analysis as to whether it's appropriate or not to adjust. Hope that makes sense.
So,
I just want
Yes, sir.
a point of clarification. So the temporary schools, those are sprinkled?
Temporary structures sometimes have exemptions. I don't know that specific situation,
Okay.
but temporary structures, depending on the term, can be exempt from that. But
Okay.
we are not talking about a temporary structure, although, right?
But it's possible that students could be in those and they could not be
For it
sprinkled.
in a temporary situation.
Right, and also, what about the firehouse?
The firehouses are all three firehouses
I'm
are
sorry,
fully sprinkled.
I meant the restaurant that's gonna open next month. Is
I
that
can't,
sprinkled?
I can't answer that. That,
Okay.
I will, here's my opinion of that. And my opinion of that is that was an existing structure that was used as a restaurant, and it is converted to an existing structure that is used as a restaurant. And so it did not have a change in use. The change in use is what triggers the upgrade.
But I will say, 30 years ago, Mrs. G owned it, and it was not a restaurant. It was just like a doll store before. So just a little clarification on the history of the building.
Deputy Chief Boyle, I have a question regarding the actual fire department. So when you guys are responding to a fire to this location, how easy is it going to be able to get your rig there? Is it close in proximity? Is this also going to help that because it's not easily accessible from the road, or does that not matter?
Yeah, so some of the, when we first started this discussion about this facility, we discussed the impact. The building that was originally designed as a storage shed is actually behind the school. When we look at any new type of educational structures that are built out there, and they have to give us access for 360 degrees of the building. Of course, this building is smaller. If you look at the two new schools, actually the three new schools that we have, they all have roadways all the way around them. One of the challenges that we have is we don't have crews of 20 people to go to these fires. We have a limited amount of manpower. And what we see in that setting is during the use of the school and the use of that facility, the parking lot is full of cars. So in order for us to get water to that building, we have to stretch hoses from a hydrant, which is a half a block away, drive into the parking lot, and then drag hose lines all the way around the building to deploy into the structure. The purpose of the sprinkler system, again, is to hold that fire in check until we can get there. Currently, the Manhattan Fire Protection District has 3 stations. We cover 150 square miles of district. We have people available to go to those calls, and we have a very rapid response package. However, every time that we build or we allow structures to be built without suppression, it does adversely affect our response time.
I have another question. Whoever looked at the alternatives, I'm not sure this is for you.
I think John was
I mean,
looking into.
what are the alternatives that were looked at?
Well, we looked at a different avenue for the church to take, and we came up with a dollar amount right around 30,000 or under for a sprinkler system.
Okay, so what's the difference between the 100 we're hearing, I'm hearing, down to the?
That's, the school went and got their own numbers. Like I said, I went and got numbers from a company that we used, and throwing our numbers together, that's what they came up with.
John, do you know, does that figure include running 4-inch line, 300 feet?
They don't have to run a 4-inch line. We did that when we had a meeting.
Yeah, we had being up here.
He did the numbers, and a 2 to 2.5 inch line would be sufficient.
Yeah, I mean, to me,
Hi, I'm Sean Fallows with
difference.
B&F Construction Code Services. We did some preliminary analysis that based off of the water supply, that a 2.5 inch line should be sufficient, but this was just napkin math during the meeting, that they would explore maybe a 2.5 inch line that could utilize to serve the building.
Well, I mean, just from my understanding, these lines, size, I get a pressure and all that, I get that. But does the church currently have a system in place, the main church? No?
No.
No.
Does the school? The school isn't water sprinkled either.
And I believe the 4-inch is
No, the 4 inch is the minimum per code, but there's an exemption when you are able to do the calculation. So the 4 inch is the minimum without doing the calculations beforehand. You can prove that you can do less as long as you basically provide the calculations at the time. So think of an infrastructure project. You're about to go build a new building down the street. Well, put in a 4 inch minimum or provide me the calculations to prove me that you can go smaller. So you can defer that engineering work for the sprinkler design down the way. That's what the code calls for.
Well, I mean, for that alternative, I mean, I certainly think that should be at least on the table. I don't know if there's any other alternatives that.
When we talked to the church, they were going to verify it. They would go out and get some prices on themselves. I gave them a number of someone that we used, because when we did our 3-bay extension, we had to put the sprinkler system in there. And, I gave them that company that we used, and, he's the one that gave me the price of under 15,000 for the sprinklers itself. And then we had an underground company come in, and they said the same thing, it'd be under 15 to be able to run the line.
Well, I mean, for me, that definitely would be something that has to be vetted out there, at least. Another question I would have, I guess this would be for Tom, or if the board went the route of changing this, I mean, what are the systems that are being in place for the protect the students, the people there? I mean, is it going to be added fire, whatever it might be?
Well, essentially, you've got a masonry building with a fireproof drywall, and it's divided into 2 rooms, and each with egress, and that would be, just like the school exists, the protection.
It'll also have pull alarms and fully fire alarm systems within it.
Okay.
It's a very, very small building. It's like 900 square feet. And how
So,
many?
I mean, if the
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. If a fire happens, I mean, you said there's, an alarm will go off or whatever?
The alarms will go off, and they have 2 egresses, it's ground level, it's a separate building, it's easy in and out. So, Mark, can I ask Mark a question?
Sorry, I just want to provide a clarification on the fire alarm requirements. The fire sprinkler system definitely pulls in specific fire alarm requirements. I don't see any current text amendments to section 907, so it may not call for a fire alarm system on its own.
But from what they had explained to me was that they will be putting the fire alarm system in completely, just so the board understands. There'll be a fully, you ask what protections are gonna be there. The protection will be, the fire alarm system will be there. There's 2 egresses in and out. It's a standalone building that's 900 square feet. It's very, very small. My question to Mark in the building department is, are there minimum square foot requirements for this type of assembly in our new codes? Like if you were to build a brand-new banquet hall or something, no, not in the building codes, but like in the commercial real estate codes and the subdivision codes. So if someone could build a 1,500 square foot banquet hall? Or are there minimum requirement, like we have houses with minimum square foot requirements?
For a commercial structure, you have to make sure you're following the setbacks for the rear, the side, and the front. There's lot coverage requirements that need to be adhered to. That's pretty much how we decide what size you can do for a commercial.
For commercial, this is considered a commercial, it's a change of use, it's commercial, it's for gathering, according to the fire department?
Non-residential.
Non-residential. So what you're saying is that someone could build a 1,500 square foot banquet facility or something, and to that effect, the gathering.
Technically you could, I'm not sure if it would make sense to do that. I mean, but I don't think there's anything prohibiting it.
Correct.
Are you saying without installing a fire?
No, I'm saying, I'm getting to the point that if we lower the threshold where 1,500 square feet and under is eliminated in this code and the rest of the code stands, the odds and the other codes cover the building of that size or bigger. It's a very unique situation that we're dealing with here, that we can adjust these numbers to fit where we're at. Exemptions have been given. Ordinances do get changed that when you find out that they're too onerous or you're wrong, like we did with the garage size back in the past. We had an ordinance that we put together for making garages bigger and found out it cost too much money for steel beams and some of the structure for the developers. And we changed it because the intent of that one was different than that side. But the point is, we changed the ordinance when we realized there was something wrong. With this, my opinion is, I don't see any issue with going to a 1,500 or 1,200 square foot or less. To come up with a reasonable number, because no one, I don't know the codes if they can build that. Like you said, it's not fiscally, financially feasible to build something that small. And it's not financially feasible to sprinkle something this small for a small church and a small gathering group. The alarms and the rest of it should handle it. I'm all for sprinklers. I helped pass the code back in the day when you came to us and wanted the commercial real estate and not the residential, the commercial for sprinklers. I'm all for the sprinklers, but there are times when you look back and say, we did something wrong, okay? And, I admit it. I'm sitting here, I was looking at these numbers, we made a mistake on the sides, that there could be reasons why it should be bigger, and I think it should be at 1,500 square feet or less.
Did you want to say something, Bruce?
If you might, one thing to remember is you're talking about a very specific situation. You can take a strip mall, or you can take buildings that are existing throughout the community, and someone comes in and says, hey, I want to make a dance hall out of it. And now that's a place of assembly. The amount of occupants that can go in that building now all of a sudden really dictates the risk. There's been plenty of fires. That's how we learn about fire sprinklers. There's plenty of fires out there that from existing buildings, they change the occupancy, they put 100 people in there. Then when a fire happens and a back door is locked, or someone willfully lights the fire, then those people can't get out. That is the reason for the sprinkler system. Again, we're talking about a place of assembly. The only places of assembly that are exempt from sprinklers that I know of are the sanctuaries and churches. So it's when everything is fine, when everything is normal, yes, maybe your 1,500 square foot limit is okay. But the minute you pass that and you have to carry it throughout the community, anytime somebody does a change in use, wants to put a bar, a dance hall, someplace that puts a large amount of occupants in the building, no, they can't get out with a fire alarm system.
Can you tell me what the occupancy maximums are per square foot?
Well, it depends. So with standing, it's 3 square foot per person. If it's seated at a desk, I believe it's 15 square foot per person. If it's chairs, it's 7 square foot per person. So if you divide that out, you have there are 2 things that limit the amount of exits, limit the amount of people that can be in the building. However, if you're taking existing structures and you're changing those structures, changing the use of those structures, that's when you run into the risk, because we cannot predict what the building was and what it's going to be.
We're kind of losing focus on this. Just to have them having that, on that, it's to help the community, help the new people coming into this town too. On that, some want to be brought up in public schools, some want to be brought up in Catholic schools. Now we're telling them, no, now you're going to have to go to a public school. Is that helping the community? I mean, helping the church, it's self-funded. It's not funded by the government, state, or the village. You know, that's my point. And it's not used 365 days a year. You know, how many days is school? How many days? 180. How many?
184.
181 out of 365. About 5 hours a day? 6? Well, somewhere in there,
Well,
right?
a little bit, it depends. I mean, not
you've done
all
weekends.
the hours are with children, sometimes
you've
you're
done
late hours.
weekends. You know, we want people, well, I want to go, I don't want to move to Manhattan. Oh, why? Because the Catholic Church and I can't go there. I'm going to go to Mokina. Boom, done. You know, I lived in Mokina. And I worked St. Mary's. All that, they're 18 years. All that, they got the money. This church doesn't have the money. They did some remodeling in it. That was over $300,000. But they, you know, that's my point. We're gonna give and take.
Please keep in mind that the temporary buildings in the public schools are not sprinkled. And they may be temporary, that's what they're called, but they're still there and they're not sprinkled.
I just wanted to make one clarification, is the public schools are regulated by the Regional Board of Education, not the Village of Manhattan's ordinances, so I really can't speak to why they are or not sprinkled for the temporary schools, for the public schools.
And just for clarification, during the proposal in the early stages of this project, the architect portrayed to us that this building would be used for meetings, would be used for events. So it's not just a dedicated classroom. It's going to be kind of a flex space that you use. Remember, what they want to do, from my understanding, is they want to put daycare in the original school, and they're going to use these new classrooms to displace the area that they use for daycare. So they're in essence changing their business model. So it is going to be a flex use purpose. So those are some of the considerations that we had.
Would you have to change it from the A and the E then, if it's going to be used for classrooms, for education?
Based on what I've heard, looking at the village code, I think consideration would have to be given not only to changing the assembly, but also the educational aspect.
Yeah, the review, from my understanding, was done under the A use as a flex space, like a community hall space, which has, when we were talking about the model codes, has exemptions. When you go straight to educational, it always requires sprinklers in the model codes. So just to mirror what you can hear from local amendments versus also the model code.
And this, Another question, is on this conversion, I'm hearing currently two egress or entrances. I mean, could there be one more added for even more safety in this conversion? There's probably no designs yet, I mean, right?
I would think that would be a possibility. It would have to be costed out.
Plan,
We have two.
this was done based off of a plan review, so plans have already been produced.
Plans, okay.
So that would require rework of the
Change.
plans and everything else, just so you
Gotcha.
know.
Okay.
I got a question for Mark. Mark, with our ordinance, do we have all the new sprinkler systems, are they all dry or wet? Or do you have the option for both?
I believe you have the option for
You have
both,
the
right?
option for both.
Yeah.
The
Option for
code
both.
does not limit that.
That's what I want to know, thank you.
Okay, I got a couple things here. Just speaking out loud, you know, the letter we received from the church was not, in my mind, very exact. I'm hearing $136,000. 26, I'm sorry. And then John Tyke's telling us possibly $30,000, so I think we need to find out what the real number is because it's just not the truth.
I wouldn't say that. They've got an actual estimate. Anything other than that.
But it's not necessarily the truth of what it's going to cost. It could be if you went with that contractor, but if there's other options that could be cheaper.
That's
And we should look into it.
That's possible.
But we're talking about money over safety of kids. If it's 30 grand, 100 grand, I mean, if my kid went to school there, I want him to be safe. Wouldn't worry about too much about the money it costs, then I would send my
Would
kid
you worry
somewhere
that the
else.
school isn't sprinkled right now?
If I was going to a new school, I'd like to know my kids would be in a sprinkler in a safe school. Yes, I am aware of that.
Okay.
You know, we're not experts in this stuff, but we have the fire department here who is, and they're telling us that this is what needs to be done to get there on time and protect these children, the staff, or anyone else is using it. Once again, life and money needs to be calculated not in the same realm. They need to be separated. You can't put a price tag on a life. And I think that's what we're talking about, money for kids. I just don't think that's right. The kids should be safe. And if there's safety precautions out there that are recommended by the fire department, as experts, we should be listening, not coming up with our own expertise here based off of what? Our feelings? Because we feel bad because it's expensive? I mean, things are expensive, but if you can't afford to do it right, then you probably should hold off and not do it. And I know that's not the best thing to say. I mean, look, they're a great church. They're an iconic institution in this town. I have my nephews go to school there. I have good friends that go there. I don't think they'd want their kids in a flex room that isn't safe. And the deputy fire chief is telling us they're not safe. Also precedent, right? So we're picking winners and losers. We're putting a 1,500 square foot limit on this because it just happens to fit the need for the church. Now, what if a daycare comes into town, opens up, and they want to have a 1,500 square foot daycare? We have to give it to them. We set a precedent. So we're picking winners and losers here. It's just, we can't do that. You know, and I was kind of wondering, like, where did this come from and when did this happen? And I actually pulled the meeting minutes from March 4th, 2008. And, you know, I'm going to bore you and read you guys this, but, you know, a lot of people who were on this board voted in favor of this, and you admitted that it was a mistake. Deacon Forsythe was also on this board and voted in favor of that. And so did you.
Yes,
And so did Mike Naught in the back.
that's right.
So, you know, we have these codes and ordinances. We need to follow them. We can't just keep changing them because
But they're not written in
feelings.
stone. You can't be changed. Anytime you get something like this, you recognize it should be changed. That's not.
Correct. When an expert comes and tells us that we should change it, and these are the reasons, yes. When it's feelings and arbitrary numbers of square footage, no, that's not a good reason.
Well, that's your opinion.
You're right. So just want to say, like, this has been going on for a long time. We've revisited this many times over the years, and then recently when we were on the board, and we've kept it. So this is the first time it's gotten brought up, and this is not the first time someone's talked about sprinklers. We put sprinklers in the Public Works Department in the new addition because we wanted to follow the standards and set precedent. We're not above anyone else in town. And now we're going to go back and just start picking and choosing when we apply this because of who asked for it. And if anyone did deserve it, it would be them, but I just don't think we can pick winners and losers. That's my opinion.
Anyone else? So I just need to know the direction that we could take so that he can, if he wants to prepare stuff. The one question I have, just listening to everyone talk, it just popped in my mind too, is if it's under 1,500 square foot as a daycare or assembly, and I have large enough property, can I build 4 1,400 square foot buildings, different age groups, and have that establishment set up without sprinklers then, if this is changed?
That's a good point.
So then I'd have 4 daycare centers that are 1,400 square foot, just to get a loophole to get out of the sprinkler system. So I don't know if that, I'm just trying to think, like, what, when we make a decision, what could be the reverse effect, that's all. I mean, I agree, I support the church 100%. I think we've already tried to help them with the foundation, and we're helping them try to get some quotes and still working through that. But I just want to know, is everyone willing to change our code? Education and A group, it sounds like it's going to have to be, because it's going to be classrooms. So I just want to take a kind of a straw poll so that we can move forward, and we don't want to delay the church.
Well, for me, I mean, I think we need to find the number. I mean, if they found a way to get it in the $30,000 range, I think that might make a big difference on this situation, for me. So for me, I would say I'd like to get a better idea on this alternative solution first. I mean, 100 grand, 150 is one number, but when you get down to 30.
Sorry, trustee.
No.
But that's on them, that's not on like us to try and get their number. I gave them, and they told us at the meeting that they would be looking into it and see what they can, so, I don't know where they are with their search for it right now, but I'd be, more than happy to help them any way we can.
Tommy?
Well, my opinion, I think we should waive it.
All right. Dave?
You have my opinion. I think we should change the square footage down, but I do appreciate the scenario you came up with, though.
Yeah, just, you never know what the reverse effect is by changing something that's been in
Right.
place for so long and everyone else has kind of followed. Bob?
Looking at me.
See what your thoughts are.
Oh, you don't want to know my thoughts right now. Anyways, I'm all for safety, and I'm a certified firefighter too. And safety is the utmost that we can do. That's why I asked about a dry system or wet system. Are they allowed? You talked about, or somebody talked about, John, you gave a name of some company that we used. It would be considerably lower. I don't want to actually impose a ordinance that's going to make every small business run from here. If they occupy like the Firehouse or Arrowhead restaurant, the way it is, I could reduce the size of that, but I also want to incorporate some other type of safety features in it. Everybody's making a good point here. I'm sort of on the wall teetering, but I'd like to see it dropped down for the amount of usage that they're going to have, the type of building that's already there. It's never been sprinklered before. Is it going to be a permanent thing? How often are kids going to be in the classrooms there? These are questions that I'd like to get more answers on, but am I in favor of reducing it? Yes, I am. As a waiver.
Not in favor of reducing it for the reasons I listed a minute ago, but I would be open to other creative ways of saving them money, whether it's some permits or engineering reviews, things that we can help them work with to help keep the cost down. I mean, I'm 100% on board helping the church out. We just got to make sure we're not setting precedent, and then we're going to be back here wishing we didn't do it 2 years from now. So.
Lucinda?
I'm hopeful they can come up with a better proposal for their situation, and thank you, John, for helping them. And of course, I think a lot of people feel for their situation because, of course, safety is always first. And it's like I need more information. I understand making it smaller to pass it through, but I do feel like setting a precedent. I'm worried about that myself. Like, for the future.
All right. Another option, maybe the board would consider, because you never know what the future is going to hold. I mean, you never know if in the future, 20 years from now, 15 years from now, they make it mandated that every building is sprinklered, whether it's existing or not, and that's happened in other communities. Maybe we have them look into doing the fire suppression in the building, but not hook up, and give them a 1-year temporary permit for occupancy, and then within that year, they can find an alternative way to get the water to there, or maybe they get donations from someone in the parish, and they can work on it, but at least the inside of the building will be constructed with the sprinkler heads, which sounds like it's less than $15,000. That's ready to go. It's just got to be tapped on, and they have a 1-year temporary occupancy, so they can get going, get the enrollment, get kids in there, and then have a whole year to go back to the diocese and say, hey, listen, we have this project done now. Here's the number. Maybe there's a yearly budget that they operate on, and maybe they could figure that out at that point. But I think that would be a really good compromise. It would help them, and it would not change our code for the unknown that we don't see yet. Just like you said, in the past it was great, and maybe it is, maybe it was, and now it's not. So I think maybe that was something we can consider. Would you guys be okay with that? I mean, is that something that would be kind of like a compromise, or?
Compromise.
I would be open for working with the church to help them save money or give them more time to implement this, but we can't change the code, in my opinion.
It just seems a lot of discussion, so what do you think, Dave? I mean, do you think that would be fair, and at least they're set up for the future anyway. And then in a year, if there's some really restrictive reason why they can't get a 2.5-inch line over there, I mean, but at least this doesn't stop the project.
So would that be a year from occupancy?
Yeah.
So you let them build it out, let it get done. You don't say from the building
They can
permit
start-
year. So
get
a
it
year
done.
from occupancy, with it, after that year or within that year, you have to come up with a way to hook the water to the system.
Yes, and like I said.
And they could raise the funds
Yeah,
at
now no-
that point, or hold fundraisers, because maybe the word gets out what's going on and everything else.
And they get enrollment, so they would get, more kids to enroll, then that might help offset that too. And at least then they can get some actual numbers, but we know the sprinklers inside a building is a rough estimate per square foot. I mean, we're not 100%, but that's just what I've been told by both sides. So I thought maybe that's another way to just we're bending a little, but we still want it to be sprinklered because we want to set.
Can I ask, what is your opinion on that, as the fire chief?
My official opinion is the codes and ordinances are important for the community, and they must stand the way they are. Now, I will tell you, because I believe it's within the bounds of the existing building code, which is under the IBC, which you adopted, that there is an option that you can defer. So the way that would work in my opinion, would be they would install the sprinkler system in the building. Now realize the $100,000 cost is in the water line. Has nothing to do with the sprinkler system. So the sprinkler system, from what we can ascertain, is less than $20,000. So the rest of that money's in the water system. By not open trenching to the building, by pushing, you're going to save a substantial amount of money. And if you can do that, during the conversation with the church during this process, they felt that they were open to deferring some of the costs. So that might be a win for you.
Okay.
We'll get the sprinkler system in, we'll hydro test it and make sure it's ready to go to work. And then you give them a temporary occupancy for a year. At the end of that year, they have to decide, do I want to come back to the board and say, hey, can I have another temporary occupancy for a year? But that is up to the board. But those options are on your table, in my opinion.
Okay, so to answer your question, I could understand that, and I could see that, and I think that's a good way to go.
That's kind of like the temporary.
I think we're just trying to help them. It is a unique situation.
Yeah, we're both trying to just help and get everything going, or all of us, I should say.
Yeah, it's just a unique situation.
We're trying to make this work.
We do want to help them, but we also want to just maintain safety with public safety.
And if you send kids to the public schools, because they can't do it there, now you gotta have more teachers? Am I correct? Probably more buses, more traffic. It's some little things you gotta look at. Yeah, I would go with that too, year by year.
Yeah, well, we could, do you have anything?
No.
I'm-
I think it'd be.
Maybe we could see what their opinion is. I mean, this is not run, you know, this, the church, yeah, we're just trying to, I just wanted everyone to talk about it openly, just to have the facts. That's why everyone here, thank you, Tom and Bruce, and from BNF, thank everyone for coming, but I just think it's better to discuss it and try to figure out what's the best option, so if it's okay with you guys, we can go back to the church or St. Joe's and run this by them and see what they think. I don't know what they're gonna say, you know, but.
Hey, there's options. There's always
So-
options.
Bring it up to 'em.
All right, anyone else on that? Thank you guys all for coming and speaking.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so that's it for the regular meeting. There's no executive session. I don't have much, just, you know, Merry Christmas and have a happy holidays. And that's all I got. So, Tommy?
Well, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, everybody. Hope we have a safe Christmas. But don't see like people getting hurt on a Christmas Day. Well, that, like, my dad died the day after Christmas.
Oh, man.
You know, wow, that 14 years old, that took a lot. But I hope everybody has a real safe, nice holiday, Christmas, and get all the presents you want.
Thanks. Ron?
Of course, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. One question, I know they're working on the Arabian Lights. Julie's out there. Can you guys give me a little more information?
Yeah,
so I can-
actually, Jim's in the back, he can probably fill you in.
Excellent.
Now, if he shows up, that would be awesome, but that's what I was told in the text.
Yeah.
Tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock, he will start installing wires and working on the street light.
So, I mean, anticipating a month maybe, or a couple weeks? Couple weeks. Okay. I know the neighborhood will be, you know, out there with the, you know, vigil or something.
Yeah, well, like Jim said, he
Yeah,
told us he would be out there, so we're holding to his word.
Ah, that's great, yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
First of all, I want to say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to everybody. I want to thank the staff for a very wonderful year of hard work. Hope you don't have to get them plows out for another year, John.
Until next year.
I do want to say one thing. I just want to thank the board for the discussion. It was very productive, and I'm glad that we were able to bring it out and get everything hashed out, so to speak, or worked out, because the church has been asking me to work on this on their behalf, and it's like, I think we're getting close to where, hopefully, I can't speak for them, but I think it was very nice. Very good. Thanks for the fire chief for the education on some of this stuff. We are not experts, as you said, and I still stand by, we do make mistakes, and sometimes things have to be changed, but if we can get this to work out, we get it to work out. Terry, I hope all your guys are safe. Chief, welcome to the new officer, and tell everybody that we really appreciate them. Thank you.
Thanks. Bob?
I got a couple statements I want to make and a couple of questions. First of all, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everybody. I hope it's safe and everybody gets well and all this other stuff. After our last meeting, we talked about a reduction in, not the tax, but we went from 9.8 or 0.98 to 0.88. Remember we talked about that? After that, I'm amazed at how many people pay attention to these meetings, you know, online, or they watch it on YouTube or whatever the case may be. And I had a number of calls, sorry about that, I had a number of calls about taxes, and people, one of their biggest complaints is we're being taxed right out of their homes. I just want the people of Manhattan to realize that this board is not taxing them out of the home. It's a conglomeration. There's the state, there's the county, there's the township, and everything else. It's not us trying to tax you out of your homes. I'm a taxpayer in this house, in this home. Listen to me, boy, I can't talk tonight. You know what? It's this is the problem. What I just want to say and address, we're conscious anytime that there's expenditures from the village here, we all talk about it. It's not something that random, we want to buy this or that or the other thing. and everybody goes, oh, my taxes are gonna go up, you bought a new truck. No, it doesn't work like that. But that's one thing. The other is for Carrie and John. Hi, Carrie and John, how are you? After the last meeting, we said, okay, on Monday, the following Monday, they're gonna be out on Baker. Where are we at with that? Because obviously I get questions about that all the time. What's going on there? Did they steal the equipment again?
No, well, we can fill you in really good. So the sidewalk is complete, so that's done. The paving is complete, and they just completed today with the shoulder stone. So we're hoping by this Friday to be able to open it up. They just have to come back and just tighten up a couple of things. They have to do a couple, I believe it's 4 driveways they have to finish. So once those driveways are done, like I said, we just been keeping it shut down because the trucks, the last couple of days have been in and out like crazy.
Yeah.
So, and the only other thing that needs to be done is hopefully tomorrow, the other streetlight company's supposed to be coming out and start doing their work out there. But with them out there, we'll still be able to open up the road and hopefully keep the residents happy. We're gonna get it painted, but just gonna be a temporary paint, just for the winter. They're gonna come back in the spring and
With beads, right?
Definitely.
Definitely with beads. Okay, good. This goes to the chief. You know, every once in a while, we could have a car out there in that area, because a lot, like you mentioned, a lot more people are using it. I mean, the non-residents that live at the far end of the county are going behind the barricades and using it quite a lot. And you'd have a squad out there every once in a while. I mean, not on a full-time basis or anything out there. That would be great.
Yes, sir. We've actually, we've made a few stops already. One morning, Superintendent Tyke was up there, and he notified us of a couple offenders, and then we had a resident report to us that the opening of the gates is at 5 a.m. So, to give away our tricks, tonight, midnight shift will be out there 5 a.m. to see who moves the gates. So
Okay.
if they're watching this, I tipped them off.
Very good, thank you. Next question is for Mark. Mark, we talked a year and a half ago about the handicap parking, and I noticed that John put a sign up over by the dentist's office, and there's a sign painted on the ground over in Krause's strip mall over there. There's nothing. What are we doing with that? I know you're waiting for better weather to paint on the ground.
Jim just went out actually the other day and he put the $250 fine sign on the one right by Kirby's.
Good.
So that's on there right now. Like I said, we'll continue to do more. It's just like, it was kind of late in the year for us to be able to do any type of painting. So that's why we hold off on the painting part.
Okay, can we put are we allowed to put signs on private buildings,
Well,
or
that's
can we put a
just-
stanchion there?
Well, that's-
Or it's their responsibility?
It's their responsibility. We talked about it before, that the board kind of wanted us to go ahead and put signs up there. So we do have the signs on, we have them here, and we have been putting some up. So actually, Jim and I talked about it last week, about getting more of them put up, and the $250 fine sign up there as well.
Good, thank you.
So is there's one at Kraus you're talking about, the Kraus building?
One by
There's-
DeMarie, right?
Yeah, by DeMarie, but it's not big enough, it doesn't meet regulations, it's done in yellow. You have to have it in 2 spots. One, it's got to be where a driver pulls in can see it, and one on the ground. In case it's snow on the ground, they can't see that, the other one is there.
So there's
You have
going
to
to
have a price on there of $250 for it.
be, so there'll be another one, I'm just wondering, 'cause I know there's one there now, is there going to be another
Right.
one then? Is that?
You know, Mark, what is,
Well, I think it's only one required. For
one
that.
required?
Okay.
Yeah.
One every 25 spaces? All right. And next question for you.
There was two there.
There was
Parking
two.
spots, right. One for the restaurant and one for physical therapy.
And that has wheelchair access because there's a slope.
Wheelchair access they put there, yeah.
Yep.
Kraus said, we're not responsible. It's up to the land, up to the people renting. What?
No, it's not.
No, it ain't.
No, it's not.
That's what I told him.
No. And the $1 million question is for the mayor. When will you open up the Arrow House?
That I'm not sure. He did start the smoker. He got his liquor license just, yesterday or today? So he is going through some last minute stuff with the health department, from what I understand. And I don't know if he's scheduled a final inspection yet, but.
He has not.
So he's still got, he wants to make everything right before he opens. So he's almost there. It's looking really good in there.
And when he came in for the liquor license, he told me that it would probably be January.
Yeah, the holidays now, so.
We started a lease with him in March, and he had a free lease for 4 months, and he's gonna open up in January. Okay.
So is it paying rent?
Yeah, and that building's had a lot of curveballs, I would say. I guess he had to do a lot of extra stuff, and it's an old building, but he's fixed it up pretty nice.
But just since he brought it up, so the rent after the 4 months is being paid according to the lease?
Yep, that's been coming in.
Okay, I just want to let people know, because people don't, without him being open, they don't think he's paying because he's not open yet, so.
No, he's
we just-
paying. He's
So
being
people
billed.
understand he is. Thank you.
Is that it?
You're good. You done?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Did you notice the new handicap accessible doors in the village?
You know?
They're in the police department and up in the front, too. I'm saying, since you were talking about the handicap spots,
Thank you.
I just figured that's.
I came in without using it the other day, and the girl said, go back out there and use it. I said, okay. That's exactly what I did.
All right, thanks. Justin?
I've talked enough tonight. I'll just keep it short. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's. I kind of echo what Dave said earlier about it's kind of nice having robust conversations up here. It doesn't happen always. Small town, small problems. Sometimes there are big problems. It's nice to see us discuss stuff cordially. And then staff, thank you so much for the year. It's been great. A lot of projects, a lot of good things have happened here,
Yeah,
and I think they've ran pretty smoothly. So enjoy your time off, and Happy New Year, and Merry Christmas. Bye.
Thanks. Lucinda?
Merry Christmas, Manhattan. Happy New Year. Enjoy your family and friends, and safe travels, everybody, and I hope you just cherish all your moments. Thank you.
Thank you. Shelley?
I have nothing but Merry Christmas.
Great job on the company party.
Yeah, there's a ribbon cutting and grand opening for Peaceful Grounds Coffee Shop this Saturday. I don't remember what time it was, 8:30? Yeah. So be there or be square.
Thanks. Jeff?
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Thanks. Mark?
You have my monthly building report. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
John? Anything else?
Yeah, my monthly report, and I do have an update. I'm glad everyone's sitting down. So the well 7 project came in today. So to do the complete project between the new well house, the new radium facility, the new water main, it came in at $8,680,496. So, Merry Christmas. So so it's not Robinson, HR Green's the one who's handling this one.
I was back here going, that's not me.
So they are gonna just verify everything, and then hopefully by the end of January, with the colder weather, they're hoping to be able to move some ground. So keep our fingers crossed, and it's gonna probably be about a 14 to 16-month project.
All right. Do you have anything to add to that?
I have my monthly
Unfunded
report. If anybody has any
mandates.
questions, happy to answer.
Jessica?
You have my monthly report. Any questions, let me know. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, be safe.
Thank you. Chief?
You have my monthly report. Any questions, please let me know. Thank you for allowing us to bring Noah aboard. It's going to be a great addition to our already great police department. And for the drone, we appreciate that as well. It definitely is going to increase security on larger scale events for us. And Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Hope everyone is healthy and prosperous in the new year.
Thanks. Terry?
You have my report as well. I'd like to say that I personally thought Christmas on State went very well. Heard some good things. People like the cups. Looking forward to next year. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. You have anything?
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and wish everybody a Happy New Year.
Thanks. So no one else I missed? All right. So I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Meeting adjourned.